In this video, I'm breaking down 10 odd things that only autistic individuals do that neurotypical people don't do. So by the end of this video, you're going to know if you're displaying these autistic traits. All that's coming up. Hey guys, welcome back to the Aspie World, and my name is Dan. I'm a late diagnosed autistic with ADHD, OCD and dyslexia, and I have done this research and helping autistic individuals one-on-one for the past 10 years. So if you're new around here and you want to learn more, make sure to hit that subscribe button here on YouTube and follow along if you're watching on the other social platforms. Okay, so there are certain things that autistic individuals do that typically neurotypical, non-autistic people don't do. And that is quite obvious, but the funny thing is, autistic individuals think that these things are normal. So I'm going to go through each one of those now, all 10 of them, so buckle up. First one is conversation replay loop. So we rehearse conversations in our head before we actually have them. And this is really interesting. So like a telephone conversation, maybe meeting friends for dinner, and you don't know what to talk about. Autistic individuals will go over and over in their head, like, I'm going to say this, this, and this. And think about it like this. When you're going to use a telephone to phone somebody, you're going to say, okay, I'm going to call the dentist. I need to book an appointment. You go over in your head like a script, and you make a script in your head. And you say like, this is what I'm going to talk about. This is what I'm going to get to. And then that's it. And that's fine. This is a good thing. Scripting is great. However, it seems normal to us, but it's actually really odd for not autistic individuals. You see, autistic individuals just know how to talk to people socially because they don't struggle with those things the same way autistic individuals do. And it's kind of like how I realized, I was like, man, I feel different than everybody else, right? I feel quite alienated. And it was because other people just knew these things that I didn't know, that these social norms or these social kind of things that they just kind of figured out. And by the way, I've got a Autism Life Hacks PDF book you can download for free. And there's also a little tool there where if you type in your details and your specific things, it actually gives you a personalized plan of autism life hacks you can use completely free. Just go to www.autismhacks.net right now. Okay, number 2 is the social battery crash. Man, this is really interesting because autistic individuals have a certain capacity to socialize. Now, autism is by default a communication disorder, right? And that is communication in all ways. So when we're faced with having to socialize or be around people and talk to people, we find anything, even the smallest interaction, to be a almost draining factor. So like this, imagine you having a conversation with somebody in the street and they're asking you lots of things and you've been at this conversation for 10 to 15 minutes. You may not even realize that you are now drained. You are drained of all of the rest of the day because all your energy, all your dopamine, all your effort and concentration was on that moment, that social moment. And now you're just completely flat. How many times have you gone out to a dinner or a friend's house or even just any event where you've seen people and spoke to people and then you feel completely just wiped, tired? How crazy is this? And it's because of the social battery is draining you. Because you have issues in that area, you have to try extra hard to fit in and be normal, right? Or whatever that means. Number 3 is background noise overload. Super interesting. Background noise overload is kind of like, I remember I went to a talk by a woman who used to run a organization called the Aspergers Association. And I was listening to a talk and the room was packed full of autistic individuals and their parents and caregivers and whatever. And it was a summer's day and the door was open to the cafe that we were using as the room or the auditorium. And people kept walking past. And every time somebody walked past, I'd be like looking over. And then it was like, man, and because I'm hyper alert to those noises. And then I looked around the room and the only other people who were like noticing the noise were other autistic individuals. Everybody else didn't realize it. And I was like, wow. And so every sound literally competes for your attention. So I couldn't focus on listening to the woman talking and giving her speech because all the stuff in the background was going on. And the same when I was in university, when I was sitting down in the lecture halls, I'm like trying to focus on the lecturer, but I couldn't because there was so much other stuff going on. People talking, papers rustling, people coming in and out, somebody go to the toilet, someone was drinking something, keyboards going on their laptops. I couldn't do it. So I ended up just recording the lectures, coming home and then teaching myself. But that was just how I did it, right? And so it's really interesting that noise, background noise specifically, is just actually just fighting for attention. It's really hard to kind of just nail that in. Okay, so this one is absolutely just insane. Number 4 is the silent overstimulation. And what the heck does that even mean? Silent overstimulation is autistic individuals can get overloaded even if you're just sitting at home doing nothing. Your brain, your mind, everything that's getting all this sensory input, you're being fed all this stuff constantly, choo. And because of that, you're like overwhelmed, overloaded, just stimulated by everything. So when you sit down and calm your mind, if you sit down and be alone with your thoughts, what happens is something called rumination of thought. And rumination basically just means that like the thoughts start repeating themselves and they're like going round and round in your head. And when this happens, you start to kind of get a bit out there, right? Like it kind of starts a bit like, whoa, there's so many things to do. And I had this experience. People say to me like, why don't you go and relax? Just sit down and chill in silence or whatever. Now, sitting in silence for a small period of time, maybe 5 minutes, is good, right? Gives your brain a reset. That's awesome. However, for me specifically, and autistic individuals, when I'm in silence for too long, my brain starts kind of getting really overstimulated by the amount of rumination of thought. It's kind of like the devil makes work for idle brains. And then my mood starts to dip. And then my mood dips so much, I get super depressed and unmotivated. So how do I relax? I actually put on documentaries, courses, learning. I'm always learning stuff, right? And I love that because keeping my brain like busy, active, and healthy saves me from burning out and being overloaded. Oh, this next one, number 5, is the start button block. This has another name called inertia. And what this means is that you'll know that you need to do so many things. There are many different things to be done, like the laundry needs doing, you need to clean the house, you need to cook a meal, you need to pick something up, like a prescription from the doctor or whatever. And you have all these things going on, yet you can't even get the energy to just start one. You can't even just start it. Why? And it comes down to Newton's laws of motion, not to be too scientific, but an object in motion can't just suddenly start moving without any exterior input. And the same, an object that is in motion can't deviate from the path. It can't just suddenly move without exterior input. So what we find ourselves with is we have so many things to do, but we've not started any of them yet. We hit inertia, or this stop part. And there's actually a video I've done all about this, and I'll leave it in the description of this video, where I talk about how to rock yourself out of this inertia or this not being able to start a task thing. It's really interesting and it's very simple. The fix is pretty amazing. Okay, number 6 is transition time log. Now, your brain needs time to switch between things. Now, neurotypical people can just, stop one task and then go to another one pretty easy, even if it's not something they enjoy. It could just be like a task or a job or something that you just need doing, a chore. But for autistic individuals, to stop one task and then start another one, we need a transition time frame. Like we need that time to go, okay, hold on, so let me wrap this up. I can't really start another one. Now, this becomes extremely more difficult when you have ADHD or autism and ADHD together, which is what I also have. And my fiance, she has that as well. And what happens is we have the focus of autism wanting to focus on one thing and have an easier transition to something else. But the ADHD brain is like, you got to go here, you got to go there, you got to do this, that, and the other. And I'm like, oh my goodness, my brain is just about to fall off. And so that really does play with us. But this is something that typical people don't deal with. Okay, so the next one is delayed body alerts. Now, a lot of the time, you may not even notice that you are hungry, thirsty, or even tired. I can't tell you the amount of times that I stayed up just like researching like UFOs and stuff. Yeah, YOLO, that's me. And like ended up falling asleep at my keyboard and I hadn't drunk for like 12 hours. I'm like, oh, so I had to drink water. So now I have reminders to tell me to take my medication every single day, drink water, remember to eat food. If I didn't do those things, if I didn't have those reminders, I wouldn't even know, because our bodies have a delay in telling us, because our mind is so occupied by all the stimuli, all the stuff that's going in. It's hard to then navigate through all that and say, okay, well, I got to remember to eat. It's super difficult. And this is you. If this is something you do, you've got to leave me a comment down below and give this video a thumbs up and just say, Dan, this is me. I feel called out, because I want to know. Okay, the next one is tiny task pressure. It doesn't matter the size of the task, the need or the context of the task. Every task has a pressure attached to it. Why? Because it involves steps. And this is how it is. When we need an outcome, there are multiple steps that we have to take to that outcome. Autistic individuals now feel overloaded with life. You add a task in there that has multiple steps. we're even worse than we were before. And the only way to really do this is to create a hack. And so the only way I can explain it is when I was doing chemistry, I had to do organic chemistry where I had to make a product from this, right? So they give you a bunch of stuff and it has to look like something else. And then you have to kind of like do this, move an electron around, add something else in. And it had like 18 steps, right? And okay, well, that's well and good, but we just wanted a product at the end of the day. So I was like, well, why don't I just put some chemicals in to just drop this down to nothing and then add the thing that it needs to be on there in the end. And then within 3 steps, I got to the end result the same way as everybody else did, with like 5 steps to 20 steps. And I was like, man, we just need the result. We don't actually need the steps involved. We just need to shorten the distance. And that's it. That's kind of like hacking your way to it. But I know exactly what you mean. Any task is pressure. And the more pressure, man, the more we don't want to do it. The second to last one here now is the intensity assumption. Now, you may assume everybody experiences noise or, awkward moments as strongly as you do, or smells. Like I may walk into a room and I'm like, wow, that's overpowering. Like the garlic and onions in here. Whew. Like sometimes I can't even go to a restaurant if it's overpoweringly like garlic and oniony. Typical people are like, smells great. I can't smell it. My nose is so acute. I can even smell the pheromone between me and my partner. Like I can smell pheromone on her. I can smell if there's a product that is heating up. Like, so when you put plugs in walls or the plug socket and the plastic will slightly heat, I can smell that because I got a heightened sense of smell. And autistic individuals will notice things more intensely, super intensely. And neurotypical people don't. They don't even know. They're like, well, it's kind of like having a super sense in a way. That's really interesting. Okay, the last one is the masking hangover. Now, a lot of people talk about masking, and I actually cover this in my Bulletproof Brain program. And it'll link, you can go to theaspyworld.com to find out anything I'm talking about here if you want to learn more. But the masking is really interesting. In my book, Autism for Adults, this book actually, I talk about how masking saved me in primary school or kindergarten, where I was able to mask to fit in with the other kids, but also it's draining. And there's a book called The Exploding Child where they talk about the child goes to school all day, they mask, they try to pretend to be a certain way, and then they come home and they just explode, tantrums and, just meltdowns and everything else. And it's because they're spending all their energy trying to be somebody that they're not. And then they end up literally not being able to do what they want to do because they've got no energy left. They've masked the whole time. And masking is pretty simply just pretending to be somebody to fit in a situation so that you don't look odd, if that makes sense. And autistic individuals do this constantly, but it has a hangover effect. The more you mask, the more drained you're going to feel. Kind of like the social interaction thing, but more intense. You're now pretending to be a different person, not just talking to people. Okay, if you're enjoying this video, my next video I've got coming up is all about rating my autistic safe foods. If you're interested, make sure you subscribe. That video is coming next.